So guys, I got my ingredients right here, and I'm going to show you exactly what you need to mix up your super soil mix. Now this is the ingredients. I'm going to go into it, explain a little bit about it. I'm not actually going to mix it up on camera because I don't have a cameraman or a camera stand, so I'm filming myself and I only have one hand. So I'm going to explain to you how to mix it up, ingredients, parts, what ratios to use, and you don't got to be on the dot with this at all, because the good trick to this super soil mix is at the very end, and it's just a very simple trick to activate this super soil and get it so that your plant will just thrive. And that 7-gallon pot will be equal to a 30-gallon pot with this super soil mix. I'm telling you guys, if you did this super soil mix in a 30-gallon pot, your plant would be vegging so long and so aggressively that, I mean, there's just no point, especially up here in the northern hemisphere. The reason I use the 7-gallon pot is so that my plant kind of runs out of room towards the end and starts triggering itself into flower. And I still get massive plants, guys. I'm talking massive plants out of these 7-gallon pots with this super soil mix. Plus it saves ingredients, saves cost of filling soil with 30-gallon pots and whatnot. But let's hop right into it. Okay, so your base ingredient, guys, peat moss. Now, any peat moss will do the trick as long as it's not some super duper cheap peat moss. Cocoa coir or soil will also work. I just choose peat moss. It's how I was taught, and it does work very well. So you're gonna do peat moss as your main ingredient, right? Now, as you can see, there's a lot of ingredients here. All these ingredients aren't that important. I'm gonna explain to you what each one of them does. But the main ingredients to this super soil mix, guys, is the peat moss, the worm castings, and this is just a cheap bag of worm castings you can get at your local grocery store. I got this at Walmart, and I find these actually work pretty good for a cheap bag, and they're not really that cheap because it's a tiny bag. So I mean, if this was a 2 cubic feet bag of worm castings, it'd probably be pretty expensive. So they work pretty good, all clumpy, dark, and rich. And then some cheap perlite that I got from Menards here. Any perlite will work. Better perlite, better drainage, obviously, but any perlite will do the trick. So those are your 3 main ingredients. Now what you want to aim for is a 1/3 peat moss, a 1/3 worm castings, and a 1/3 perlite. And that's about as good as it gets, guys. If you can get a 1/3 of each one of those ingredients, you're gravy. You don't need anything else to do this super soil mix, except for the last part that I'm going to show you guys that is the key to this super soil mix. So some other ingredients here that I'm using include crab meal, bat guano, alfalfa meal, kelp meal, glacial rock dust by Gaia Green, 444 all-purpose by Gaia Green, boogie base, which is a compost tea base filled with good stuff like biochar, volcanic ash, worm casting, stuff like that, and extreme gardening mycos. This is for the roots. This is going to make your roots thrive. This is a key part right here too. All right, so a lot of this stuff is add-ins. Now, like I said, if you can get the 3 parts, worm castings, perlite, and peat moss, you're off to a great start. But if you can add in some crab meal and some bat guano and things like that, you're doing great, because peat moss, it's not as bad as cocoa coir, but it's not like soil where it's holding natural values such as calcium and stuff like that. It's lacking in some of those areas. That's why I add in a lot of these organic materials, guys. Now, if you can get the Gaia Green 444, that's about all you need right there. It's got everything in it, and it's magic dust. That stuff is magic. I just use a little bit of it because it's kind of expensive, and I have all this stuff. I don't want to burn my plants. I just want to have a good base. All right, so you're going to mix up your 3 parts, cocoa coir, worm castings, and perlite into your bag or your fabric pot, plastic pot, whatever you got going on. And then this is where the magic happens. If you're using this like me, you have to activate this because it has biochar and microbes and stuff like that. So you can't just throw all this in a pot, put a plant in it, and hope for it to work. This is where the magic happens. All right, we're gonna come over here to my other office, guys. Here, I have a pot already made up with my super soil mix, perlite, worm castings, and peat moss, right? Now that I have this all made up, I left a little room because I'm going to be transplanting plants into here that are already in 2-gallon plastic pots. So I need to be able to move some of this up to the side and fit that plant in there. So I left a little room. But for now, while those plants are vegging in the 2-gallon pots, this is what we're going to do, guys. And really quick, another important ingredient: black soldier fly larvae, insect frass. Now this has chitin A in it. So I sprinkle a little bit of that in here, just a little bit. It's really strong stuff, guys. And it has chitin A. So basically when your plants absorb it as the nutrients, as it breaks down in the soil, that chitin A gets in the plant. And say a bug, ooh, there's a big chunk of worm castings. A bug goes to feed on the plant, that chitin A is just gonna have a real nasty taste, and the bug's not gonna wanna feed on the plant. So it's really great when it comes to bug protection, and it has a lot of other values. It is great stuff. It's a key part to my success, I feel like. So I'm gonna lay a cover crop in here, which consists of a 4-seed cover crop that's got clover, vex or whatever, peas and something else. I'm gonna lay a cover crop seed in here, right? In my soil mix. And here I have 2 teas brewing up. In these teas, I have a video on my channel, guys, that teaches you how I brew my teas. If you wanna go check that out after the video. That way you know how to brew yourself a good, consistent, reliable tea to finish off this super soil, because this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna lay the seeds and then I'm gonna mix them in there and pat it down, right? I'm gonna come here where I have my compost tea with molasses, worm castings, boogie brew ingredients, a little bit of kelp, nice and foamy. You can see my microbes are really active. I'm gonna pH it down to 6.2 to 6.5, and then I'm gonna add it to the pot, guys. Now what that's gonna do is a couple things. It's gonna start breaking down all that organic matter that I have in here to make it immediately uptake available for the plant. Now another thing it's gonna do is it's gonna add moisture to the peat moss, and my cover crop is gonna sprout, right? So now that the nutrients is being broken down and you added your compost tea, you just let this sit for a few days, let that cover crop sprout, put it out in the sun, let it become alive. This is gonna become a living soil, guys. And me, myself, I even throw a couple night crawlers in here so they get down in there and make air holes for the plant, and it all adds up, guys. This is gonna become a living soil. So after you've added your tea and you've sprouted your cover crop, once that cover crop grows in a little bit, now you're ready to add your plant after you give it a couple days. So you just go right in on the cover crop, lift a little bit up, put your plant, and mush it back in. Now this is going to damage some of the cover crop, but not all of it, and it's okay, because what cover crop you did flip is just going to turn into more nitrogen and more food for your plants. And that's pretty much it, guys. That's all you need to know. And it's just the reason that this super soil is so super is because of that right there, the compost tea. So you add all these organic materials into this soil, and then before you even put your plant in there, you activate it with the compost tea. If you follow this recipe, guys, you cannot go wrong. You're gonna plant that plant in there, and it's gonna become one with the super soil, and they're gonna work together. The plant's gonna feed the soil is gonna feed the plant, and you're gonna have a tree. In a 7-gallon pot, you are gonna grow a tree, guys. I'm telling you, you cannot go wrong with this mix. So go ahead and give it a try. Like I said, you don't have to have all these ingredients, but one part perlite, another part worm castings, and the rest, another part peat moss, and then add in what you can, a little Gaia green. But you want to plant that cover crop, and you want to hit it with that compost tea and give it a few days. Let it activate, let it become alive, a living soil that you just made, and then put that plant in there, and then water when needed, and continue to hit it with teas when you can. And I'm just telling you guys, your plants will thrive. If you're looking for rapid growth, this is it, man. Put the bottled nutrients down. Nothing wrong with the bottled nutrients. That's how I started. But I've never seen so much growth in my life besides with this super soil mix. All right, guys, tune in for another episode. Like and subscribe if you liked the video. I will be doing an update on this. I have 2 Eat Those plants ready right now, waiting on these pots. And here in a few days, they'll be going in the pots. And I'm gonna do a whole season this summer on how these 2 Eat Those plants do in this super soil. So if you wanna see that, stay tuned, like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace.